What's up, everybody? Welcome to the channel. It is a new phase or a new season, whatever you want to call it, of eFootball, and I couldn't be more excited. I got to work today, and I have brand new tactics to go over with you, as well as some awesome highlights from an undefeated day so far. But tonight's young, we will be playing more eFootball, as well as some other football games, because that's just what we do, but definitely more eFootball. However, up to this point, undefeated and went straight through Division 6, promoted right away to Division 5, which is a far cry from where I started, where I was just struggling, right? And it's all been because of hard work and community coaching. I already gave a special shout on stream to John Weaver, and there's been many others in the eFootball world that obviously know the game much better, and I literally showed, like, you can use me as an example that coaching works, because this was simply over stream. Not even going over game footage or meeting, you know, on any type of Zoom calls or whatever you want to call it. It was literally just giving me helpful tips as I was playing, and it has made me a million times better, and it will continue to make me better and better. So shout out to the whole community. Special shout out to John Weaver, who's been there just every single stream through thick and thin, talking to me on Discord, walking me through different things in the menus, just nonstop help. So I couldn't be more excited. Today it's paid off as far as just showing where I've come as far as compared to where I started, but there's still a lot of work to go, right? When I get to the higher levels, there's no doubt I'm going to have some tough games. I'm still going to get those whoopings without a doubt, but there's no doubt as well that I am improving, and that's the beauty of it. So first things first, new manager, GNABRY. Spent $5 to get him, and why did I do that? Well, because as you see here, he has quick counter and long ball counter as far as like the playstyle proficiency. So what this means is that instead of only being able to use like how I used to have Arteta for quick counter, and I could use him as a manager if I wanted quick counter, and then the next game if I wanted long ball counter, I had Valbuena. Now I can literally switch in-game, and my players' stats will not suffer from it, right? Because their attributes take a hit if you use, for instance, if I use with GNABRY possession or out wide or long ball, my players' attributes would go way down and they play way worse. So now I can play both long ball counter, which is what I go with, as well as quick counter, which is a great setup, especially if you need a goal. Now moving on to my new formation and tactics that I have tested out. Like I said, I zipped through Division 6 using this exact setup. I'm now in a 4-2-2, and I will explain why. First off, Maldini and Caicedo, both defensive fullbacks, along with Hermoso, who is a build-up center back, and Van Dijk, who is my sort of, I think he's listed as a destroyer. I can't remember exactly, but we all know how Van Dijk plays, right? Hermoso, though, when we win the ball back there, he has that ability, if needed, to sort of dribble out of pressure. It doesn't happen very often, but he has all the defensive abilities, and he's a little bit better on the ball. I actually use him as my man marker if that's ever needed, and then Van Dijk is free to just hunt down the ball as needed, defend as needed. Then, of course, like I said, Caicedo and especially Maldini, but Caicedo's been super surprising. They both do a great job. Maldini, it's expected, right? He's an amazing card, but Caicedo's been just as good, maybe a little worse, honestly, not just as good, but both of them very good defensive fullbacks. I learned having attacking fullbacks, at least for me, isn't the way, especially if you're just starting. I strongly suggest you go with the defensive fullbacks, as well as using long ball counter instead of quick counter. Those two counter systems are the best two play styles you can go with, but if you start with quick counter, there will be a lot of times where you're just outnumbered, the opponent's coming at you, and you don't have enough players back. Long ball counter, you get some great attacking runs, but at the same time, you still have good defensive coverage. Hence why now I have two DMFs and not the DMF and then the CMF that I was using before with Bellingham is almost like a box-to-box. Even sometimes is more of a second attacking midfielder that just sat deeper. Now it's two DMFs, but I have Diashimi, I know I pronounced that wrong, but as my anchor man, my true number 6, and then Pep Guardiola is more of my deep-lying playmaker, right? As they call it in eFootball, the orchestrator. So on top of that, not only do I have Guardiola sitting back with Diashimi, but also having the ability to be the bridge between my defense and the offense and make those great passes into the attack. I also have, as you see here, both of my CDMs on anchoring, right? Or in this case, they're called DMFs. But what anchoring does is it makes sure that either DMF drifts out wide. They will stay central, and their main goal is to cut out any attack where the opponent tries to come down the middle and play to their strikers, right? And then obviously on top of both being DMFs, you just have Daishimi, whose role is an anchor man. He's like that true number 6. And then Pep Guardiola, who's good defensively, but he's also good on the ball and great with connecting passes and maybe even dribbling the ball and helping get it into the attack just any way he has to. Then moving into the attack, Vinny Jr. on the left, nothing changes there except for instead of left winger, same with the right side, I now have left and right. Midfielders, all that means is that they're now pulled further back, right? When they're LWFs and RWFs, they're more forwards, right? Now they'll track back a little bit more, and it actually helps with opening up some passing lanes and really helps in the attack because I don't lose the ball as much trying to force it, and then the defense, opponent's defense intercepts it. And of course, as you see, the big Showtime signing, we went with Serge Gnabry on the right. It was a tougher decision than I thought because you have Kolo Muani, who has that phenomenal finishing. He also has good heading ability, which I'm lacking with Mbappe and Villa. Even though Villa is definitely better at heading than Mbappe, Muani's got that specialty. However, he has his weak foot's not that good, and just overall, I felt that as I move forward, especially if and when we get a strong aerial striker, even when Haaland subs in towards the end of the game, Gnabry has the ability to put that edge crossing, which I've got to play against with David Beckham having it, and it is just super accurate and super dangerous. And so like Haaland comes in at the end of the game, boom, you have a dangerous threat at putting the ball in from a cross, even if it's not just going straight to goal. Just his accuracy with passing is brilliant, his dribbling's brilliant. No, he doesn't have the speed as maybe a Dembele who subs in for Gnabry at the end of the game, but he's just been an excellent player. I even thought about maybe going Bastoni to replace Hermoso, but I think Serge Gnabry has been an incredible pick. I've played, 4 games, zipped through Division 6, and he's been an excellent player throughout. So the biggest change, obviously, like I said, from wing forwards to now left mid and right mids, just means they track back more and they're closer to the defense and the defensive mids to receive those passes and get the ball into the attack. And it's worked exactly how I thought it was, which is great when that happens, right? Now, David Villa and Mbappe, the way they're set up, and the reason why I even went to this 4-2-2-2, right, which really in FC or other games would be a 4-4-2 holding is what this would be. But I have my strikers staggered. I always like to play staggered strikers. So, again, using those other games as an example, I would rather go like with a 4-4-1-1 with the 2 strikers, not the cam and striker, as opposed to a 4-4-2, right? And the reason being is because I feel like whenever the strikers are flat, in that flat setup, it's just not as dynamic. Not to mention, David Villa has that specialty being a dummy runner, and it makes for excellent space creating, right? When Mbappe makes runs, not only that, but on the other side, when Mbappe's stretching out the defense, you can play to David Villa's feet, and he is literally so sharp. You use that right stick to turn, and his finishing is incredible. So you either hit it, David Villa to his feet, sometimes leading him in front with a through ball, and he'll be open because Mbappe's stretching the defense out and pulling defenders away, or as an actual dummy runner, David Villa is pulling the defenders away, and Mbappe has a ton of space to blow by defenders with his speed and finish the ball off. It's just worked phenomenal all the way around, and I'm loving this setup. So give it a try. Let me know what you think, but just make sure not only that you like the formation, you can succeed with the way you play and it matches this, setup, but also make sure you have the players that fit. Go in and look at the skill set each of these players have. For instance, we all know Gnabry has the edge crossing, so he's excellent on the wing, right? Vinny, he does not have any type of special skill set for crossing. However, that's why you see he's a little more tucked inside, right? Because whenever I am going to cross, I'm going to go to Gnabry, and I actually added some skills. For Vinny, he got aerial superiority as an additional skill. So maybe he's not the greatest at headers, but that gives him a lot better chance to win it when Gnabry crosses it. And not only that, but the way I have it is GNABRY's set to be more of a cross player, and he can cut in and shoot sometimes, but Vinny is more set up to cut inside and get the ball on that right foot and hammer it home. Not to mention you have David Villa making runs, pulling defenders one way. Mbappe a lot of times will be stretching defenders, making, those deep runs, trying to get in behind. And then you got GNABRY out wide, ready to cross the ball in, and Vinny ready to cut inside as well. So just a ton of dangerous options. And like I said earlier, and now you can see here, the defensive presence is great. A lot of ball winning from the defensive mids before it even gets to the defense, but if it does, the defense does their job. And then just some beautiful interplay as we work the ball up into the attack. Exactly how I pictured this working out when I was thinking about, okay, how do I like to play? What can I change up? So exactly what I was thinking is how this plays, which is something that I love about eFootball. You have to respect the fact that Konami has created an AI-heavy football simulator that plays very, very close to what you would expect a real life, football team made up of the players that you have with all the roles that, the game explains. It does a very good job of being true to what they're trying to build, true to the skill set, right? When it has all these different names, these skill sets, and these different, explanations, and there's a ton of them, right? Ton of skills, ton of boosters, the whole nine, ton of different player roles, and every player not only utilizes those skill sets, those boosters, like it says, but they also feel as close to their real life counterparts as, way closer than any other game, put it that way. I'm not saying EAFC or UFL don't do a good job with their player models or anything, but just animation-wise, like, for example, Mbappe, when he scores, when he runs, when he, dribbles, passes, whatever, he looks like Mbappe, right? When GNABRY is crossing the ball, he looks like GNABRY crossing the ball. And then you can also add all these skill sets that maybe the player is not as strong at in real life, but because in the game you added the skills, well, now Vinny with aerial superiority in the air is going to look like Vinny if he was better at heading, right? Even though he doesn't have it in real life, he has in this game, and the way they do it is just brilliant. So that's the fun of the AI heavy side of eFootball, which is exactly what they were going for. Now, do I get frustrated with the lack of manual control on runs? Yes, but instead of complaining about it and trying to fight the AI, like a wise man, John Weaver, once told me, you have to play with the AI. If you try to fight against it, for example, like I was saying last time, like, why can't I do, I wish there was a player lock, or I wish I could manually change the direction of the run at least, but guess what? You can't. So instead of worrying about what you can have, you have to just start utilizing the players the way the game wants you to utilize them. As I did that throughout these games today, it helped me a ton. So, with that being said, get to work grinding eFootball. It is a blast. If you haven't started, get started up. It's easy. You literally have AI to play against for like 4 divisions, so you have plenty of time to learn everything. And then even after that, there is fun in learning. Without a doubt, it is the most, if not one of the most rewarding games, not just football games, but games period, that I've played, because there's just a ton to learn, and when you learn it, it feels amazing. So have some fun with it, grind out like I said, and I will see you on the next one. Peace.